because I love humans and I'm inspired by humans, and anything around me is very human orientated. I love it. And that's why I got stuck into the arena of HR.
Ghenwa Habbal is a passionate business psychologist with over 2 decades experience.
Personally, I think what got me here, it's because I did not go with the system that the world wants you to be on.
She's dedicated her career to crafting and executing strategies that attract, empower and retain top talent.
A lot of people would like to follow because it's easier than to lead, right? And to lead, it means you have to have lenses on the go.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast in partnership with the Megaverse. More about them later. Now, before I get started, for those of you that download this episode on a weekly basis, thank you so much. For those of you that subscribe on YouTube, I can't thank you enough. What I need though is more of you. Quite simply, my request. The more people that subscribe to this channel, and if you're listening to it on audio, that literally follow on whichever podcast platform you consume, the better this podcast will get. The better the guests will get, the better it will be for you and the better experience you will have. So if you don't subscribe and you don't follow right now, I would really, really appreciate it if you were to do that for me. I'll never ask you for anything, but if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, today's guest. Let's talk about HR. It's a functioning business that really isn't given the credit it deserves. Talent, people management, understanding how important the people are to the business. Because at the end of the day, what is a business? It's just a group of people. Here in the UAE, 20% of people will be looking to change their job over the course of 2024. The cost of rehiring, retraining all of these people is a massive cost to a business that never really gets measured. And today I want to dive into this subject and spend some time with some professionals that know about HR, talent management way more than I do, so that we can learn the tools, the tricks and the strategies that need to be deployed so that your business can run more effectively. Ghenwa Habbal is a passionate business psychologist with over 2 decades of experience. She's dedicated her career to crafting and executing strategies that attract, empower and retain top talent. Beyond her corporate role, she's a co-author of the book Shaken, Stirred But Not Deterred, a sought-after speaker and a respected judge in the industry. She generously shares her insights on HR, leadership and workplace dynamics through articles featured in top global media outlets. Join me in welcoming Ghenwa as we explore the importance of employee well-being, how to foster diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and the top leadership mistakes you're probably making right now. Cue the music. So let's talk about the Megaverse, the internet of people. Shaping the next iteration of the internet, Megaverse is powered by revolutionary blockchain technology built on decentralized community ownership. It offers users, brands, and businesses a seamless, regulated, and transparent opportunity for growth, revenue, and community building. Megaverse is accelerating user adoption and achieving these goals through multiple verticals like Megachain, a high-performance blockchain for tamper-proof transactions, Megafile system for encrypted decentralized storage, and Mega Studio, which democratizes development through collaborative and AI elements. Organizations across industries like Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, Dubai World Trade Center, and Ras Al Khaimah government have already explored the lucrative potential of a Megaverse presence. Megaverse enables users to create a Web3 future for the people where technology serves human purposes. Ghenwa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
I enjoy you being here. We've had a chat before we got started today, and I suppose HR's something that covers so many areas. But talk to me a little bit about your journey into HR and how you got involved in it.
So first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I was really excited to be here. Yes. I started my journey not in HR, let's put it this way. I was plugged in HR. It wasn't a decision that I made. Initially, I started my career at the age of 15 to start with. I went into many industries. other than and other jobs before being plugged into HR. So fast forward till the time I was plugged in HR. I think it was my last year of university when I had been interviewed by one of the biggest companies back home, and home for me is Lebanon. And then they just wanted to understand who I am from a human perspective, and then they saw that I'm best fitted in HR. And tada, I was there. I was tasked to establish a small function under the HR umbrella. And from there, I think I found myself. I did my due diligence in terms of exploring other functions and other skill teams, because I always believed that for you as an HR professional to succeed, you really need to understand how other functions inside the business operate. And this is what I tell my team today. And this is what I tell also leaders, that yes, you are into the marketing department, head of function, but you also need to understand the human aspect and come talk to us in HR so we can help with that. So I think the dynamics of having that interrelationship is important for us to succeed. And because I love humans and I'm inspired by humans, and anything around me is very human orientated, I love it. And that's why I got stuck into the arena of HR. I think it's my territory.
Interesting. Now, you say you started work at the age of 15. Was that while working for your parents?
It is. It started there. So initially, I was a school student, definitely, but we went through bankruptcy. And because of that, I had to leave school. It was a decision that I had to make only after I failed grade 9 back home. And I've repeated it almost 5 times. So with repetition comes excellence to me. Right? So, and then I started to work with my father, who also used to lead a travel agency back home. And we had like a few airlines under our umbrella or sponsorship back home, which is Lebanon again. So I started working with him. He taught me what does it mean to have a startup mindset. And this is, I think, a skill that we as humans should equip ourselves with it, because if you don't have a startup mindset, according to me and based on my own experience, you can never thrive in a turbulent environment. Because with turbulence, disruptions, you need to equip yourself with that mode or with that skill, because sometimes you have to go low and sometimes you have to go high, depending on the waves and how, the ocean or the heartbeat is. So yes, I did start with him back then. And then I went into other industries, F&B. And I remember when I joined the F&B business, I was like the most obese in my life. And I had to be the front face customer for one of the shops on the ground. And people, of course, were like, it's a diet center and we have someone who's like literally really overweight. So how is this going to happen? And initially, just, as we go back or in history, during my interviews, they just said, listen, I can guarantee that I can lose this weight if you chop an X percentage of my salary for the food that you're going to supply for me for a year. And that would be a great proof to the world and to your customers that your business works, your food works, your product is an excellent, solution to people who are struggling with weight issues. And I think in 365 days, I lost 20 kgs or more even. So I toned down like really drastically in a way that people couldn't believe. And then I got promoted, right? And that was during my years of studies in university. So between studying and working, losing weight, I found my zen.
Interesting. In America, 52% of students are saying that they don't believe that university is going to help them or equip them to get a better job. And I think about people that go to work at the age of 16 and don't go to university, and I compare those 4 years from 16 to 20 or from 18 to 21-ish, kind of like with uni. And I wonder, because I didn't go to university.
Good.
I wonder if those 4 years in the workplace are more valuable for you than those 3 or 4 years at university. And okay, we know that education's changed a bit, because if they were teaching the same medicine that they were teaching 30 or 40 years ago, there'd be a problem in medical school right now.
We'll be full dead.
We're going to saw his leg off without anaesthetic, yeah.
That's happening.
But when we take other forms of education, the argument is that it's still not moving fast enough, not updating quick enough, and the world's moving at a fast pace. And so what you're being taught is outdated.
Yeah.
If you had the choice to go back in time and say, right, I'm going to go to work for the next 4 years in a working environment, corporate, whatever that may be, a startup, or I'm going to go to university, and you had to choose between the two, knowing what you know now, what would you do?
Interesting question. So I did not actually go to university directly in my life. So again, I jumped out of school. For 2 years. I worked, then I came back to school. Then during my university, I was also working 80% of my time and studying 20% of my time. I believe there is like pros and cons for everything, but I think what got me here, it's because I did not go with the system that the world wants you to be on. You go to school, you graduate, you head to university, and then you work. To me, that system doesn't resonate. I think knowledge and learning and education is key. But it can happen in different platforms or in different forms or in different atmospheres, right? You could go and learn on the job. You could actually take a course or certificate. And learning today is, eligible for all and easy. I mean, I can sign up for a Harvard course online, $2,500, and done. Voila, right? I got my certificate, I got my education. I believe that if you really want to learn and grow, you need to operate with your hands. I mean, that's the hardware. You have the software, and then the handware, and then you have the hardware. And I believe in the power of hardware. Yeah.
Interesting. I think about those 3 years of university that my kids have just been through, 4 years one of them, 3 years another. And I think about how much time they're not in university as opposed to how much time they're in university.
Yeah.
And to me, school was 8:30 till 4:30 every day. And so kind of like you went to school the same as your parents went to work. And then kids go off to university and it's, we've got 3 lectures this week. Yes. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Why are you at university from 8:30 till 4:30 every day? Well, it doesn't work like that. And I was like, why? Why does it not work like that? Because if you take a 3-year course, it probably could be done in 1 year.
It can, definitely.
If there was a full commitment to it.
Yeah.
So is there some form of
scam
taking
And if the course was tweaked in a way, definitely it would be completed by 1 year. I mean, now I'm on my master's degree as well. And I think I could finish it in 1 year. If that course wasn't delivered in that way, I could have finished it in 1 year. If this material was not delivered in that way, I could have finished it in, let's say, in 18 months rather than 24.
I also believe, like when you learn a language, if I went to have Arabic classes. And so, yeah, exactly. It didn't work. But I was having lessons like twice a week.
Yeah.
And every time I went to the next lesson, I'd forgotten what I'd learned in the lesson before.
You're not practicing.
That's right. But if you go all day, every day, for a shorter period of time, you're doing it all day, every day. And so things go into the muscle memory and that kind of stuff stays.
Like training a muscle, definitely. Yeah. I agree. Interesting.
Now, let's talk about leadership here, because that's something that's really important to discuss. We see interesting dynamics with leadership. I find it fascinating how people get promoted into jobs, but they don't get trained for them.
And we promote the wrong people all the time.
Okay, we'll talk about that one as well. It's the subject to discuss.
80-20.
You see people get working into leadership roles, and so they get a promotion because they've worked hard at the job they did before.
Yes.
But they get very little training to be a leader of people, let's say.
Yes.
And that's a skill on its own.
100%.
Why do you think companies don't put the time, effort and energy into training leaders to be effective leaders more than they should?
I think this goes back to really, early age, like early times when learning, training is seen as an expense rather than an investment to drive business forward. Right? People, I see it sometimes like leaders or CFOs or the financial aspect of the business would see learning as a cost. and it's not having a direct impact on the people now, right? So they don't see a direct impact now in terms of profitability. And I think when it comes to the HR function, we know that investment takes time. The ROI is not now. It's in 6 months down the line. Maybe it's in 12 months down the line, right? But probably, the financial section, they see investment, the ROI should be now. That is my own analogy or thought on this concept. And I've been into debates like, it's important to invest in your people. It's important to really, grow them on that job. And if you just promote someone without giving them the right tools, it's a tool, right? And if you're not having the right systems in place, if you don't have the right policies in place, the system will fall, or the job or the individual will fail. And the same is with leaders. If you don't train them and you don't coach and you don't mentor and you don't invest in that personal development aspect, definitely, right, the person will fail on the job. They will lose confidence, and then they might end up creating a toxic environment or a toxic culture, and it will impact themselves, the leader themselves, the teams, and definitely, we're humans, so we go back to home, and then it will impact definitely our home, right? So having that dynamic of or approach to development is key. If we don't invest in our people, then we can't have a profitable business in the end. I personally believe that humans are the engine that will drive that profitability. You want money? Invest in your people.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because a company is just a group of people. Let's say we worked for a company, and all of a sudden the CFO said, right, here's a budget for leadership training. Now, we can spend it how we want. We can invest it in the C-suite that exists already, making them better leaders, or we can invest it in the grads that have got the shining stars that have demonstrated that they're the leaders of the future. How do we invest the money?
Tricky question, but I believe that investment should go, let's say, across the board, but in percentages, right? I, as a business, what is the nature of my business and who are my customers today, like in the now, in the near, in the future? And if my future customers are Gen A or Gen Alpha, right? So what does Gen Alpha need, and there might be potential interest, and based on that, I start creating my programs in terms of learning interventions, which means I personally would put my biggest budget, on the frontline leaders, the first-time managers, because these are the people who will get promoted in the near future, and they will lead the generation that's coming up. So if it was me, Ghenwa, I will definitely invest in my frontline leaders who will support the younger generations, and they will help and inspire and motivate the younger generation. And it's key for me to have transformational leaders on the job. And transformation leadership, it's all about motivating, it's all about inspiring, it's all about understanding who you are as a leader, understanding your triggers, and of course, beyond that, where you go, it's about understanding the capability of the people on the floor that work with you, and then attend to their aspirations as well.
Okay, so hold on a minute.
Yeah.
We've got the 54-year-olds that are in that position, and then you've got the 28-year-olds.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You're in 50s, okay.
Okay, so it's the 53. These guys you're talking about, these are the shop floor, the guys that are in their early stages of management now, as opposed to the old dinosaurs like me, essentially sitting there. Invest in these people here.
Yeah.
Okay, and because in the future, they're essentially going to be the leaders of the business anyway.
Yes. So, 100%. So, I think from a generation perspective, like if I have to give it taglines, you have the baby boomers. They're good. We need them. And this is where we do knowledge sharing projects. And then you do have the Gen X, and then you have the millennials. Okay, so I mean, I'm a millennial. You're probably sitting between millennial and Gen X. I don't know.
1970, I was born.
Right?
Not a boomer. Definitely not a boomer.
Not a boomer, yeah. So personally, I would invest in the millennials, right? So they can actually make sure that when they treat and lead people on the job, they're doing the right thing. Eventually, today, we see a lot of people, they don't want to work for corporates. So if everybody is an entrepreneur, what happens to corporates? You really need to create an environment where, the people want to work for you and they want to help you grow as a business. A business without its people, no business.
Interesting. Let's talk about diversity and inclusion.
Can I say BS?
Yes, well, let's talk about it first. Because there are people that have really strong opinions.
Yes.
Okay, of why diversity, equity, and inclusion is important, and there are others that have opinions that lead differently. And I would argue in the Arab world, it's probably not as prevalent a conversation as in the West. Would that be fair?
Maybe it's a taboo. I don't know. I mean, I'm an Arab, but probably a controversial Arab. I don't know.
So why do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion is bullshit?
We speak it, but we don't practice it. We don't practice what we preach. In other words, we just say, "Oh, diversity is a good thing because it is." It will teach you something new, or you will get introduced to new cultures or to new norms. But then, my unconscious bias kicks in. Number one. Number two, my ego will blind me because, I'm too centered around myself, right? So when you are talking diversity, equity, and inclusion, first of all, who are you and like, what is your ego level? I mean, I've seen a lot of people, because of their ego, right? They just don't see the value of DE&I. And I've been challenged on the job at some points when talking about that. I'm like, ta-da, seriously, why do you think this way? Right? It got me speechless. I got paralyzed. My brain was paralyzed because, now it's just like DE&I is not new. We live across continents. So the world is really diverse. With diversity comes beauty. With diversity comes knowledge. With diversity comes experience. And new horizons are opened up, right? And if you're just centered around who you are, so I'm an Arab and I'm just Lebanese, so I just focus Lebanese and Arab, I am missing a lot. I wouldn't be in my position today. I wouldn't be, who I am as a woman living in an expat world, well-known, if I haven't embraced the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion, if I haven't spent energy and time to know the people that I work with, the community that I have built or the community that I have joined, right? And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to bring, equity on the job, to the environment that I operate in. And when there is imbalance, I speak up. Sometimes when I speak, it might not be the best because I'm passionate about it, so I speak with all my emotions. It irritates me when things go north or south, right? But I believe that there should be a balance, despite the word it might not be balanced to many, but where we can, why not?
So when we look at this country as an example, there are so many different nationalities here.
Yeah.
But by definition, we're also a diverse nation.
We are.
And I think the fear comes from the discrimination, doesn't it? It's like the discriminating against. But maybe we don't experience that as much as maybe you would do in the UK, in France, in the States. Maybe.
I'm not sure, yeah.
But also you have people fiercely defending this and championing, we need more diversity, we need more equity, more inclusion than before. And my first thought is, who's been excluded? Yeah, if we need to include, then who the heck is being excluded?
Maybe the person who's speaking was the...
Okay, but are they actually being excluded, or are they in victim mode?
It might be both, right? So I mean, adversity is, we all struggled with adversity.
Yeah.
Right? And from adversities comes opportunities. And I was a victim of that, to be honest, right? I was on a job years ago, and there was just a guy who was with me in the department who was earning $200 more than me. Why? First of all, he's a male, and he has graduated from a top-notch university, which his father has paid for him. Mm-hmm. And I was in a tier 2 university, which I was working my off to secure my tuition fees. And the load of the work was on me, not on him. So I was a victim. But did I victimize myself here? No, I made my move. I spoke my words, right? And then it's all in history. Did they make a change? Of course they made a change, because I just spoke up, and because I spoke up, right? What happened is I created followers. So now when people actually struggled or suffered from inequity or not being inclusive or feeling that there is injustice, they are not afraid to speak up. So it might be coming from that zone, and it's okay. I was there, and I feel it's okay. Not sure how the people will perceive this, but I didn't do it because I'm just a victim and I want to take advantage of it. No, but because I feel that there is, somehow an imbalance in society, and if I don't speak up, nobody will. So I took accountability. I took ownership.
Female empowerment.
We don't need empowerment.
Let me paint my picture. Maybe you can understand where I have an issue.
Okay.
So my mum and dad got divorced when I was 7 years old. My dad went bankrupt, and they both went in different directions, and my mum had to bring me up. Mm-hmm. She worked 3 jobs, worked many hours, and I was what's known as a latchkey kid. Do you know what that is?
No, explain.
It was a kid that would go home from school alone.
Oh.
Okay, and hang around at home on his own because parents were still at work.
Okay.
And that was at the age of 7. Mm-hmm. So I was the kid that would walk home from school and turn the TV on and raid the cookie jar and wait for mum to get home. Yeah.
Okay.
But I saw this really strong, determined, fierce almost woman that I admired.
Yeah.
And then when I look at my business partner, Danielle, I look at other women within the businesses that I own. They're driven, focused and committed and equal people that have real issues with the whole subject of female empowerment because they don't believe it's necessary. The opportunities are there if you want to take them for everybody.
Yeah.
And so why do we need to focus on female empowerment? So what do you believe about that?
Females don't need empowerment. We have our voice, definitely. We're dedicated. We have high levels of perseverance. But at some point, right, we are fought on the table or challenged, let's put it this way, more political, than any other, probably, if it was a male. But now I know the world is changing. I know things are coming up. People are becoming more aware that it's not gender-driven at all. It's about capabilities, right? So back to the concept that do we need empowerment? No, we don't need empowerment. We're powerful humans.
So what do you need?
I think it's more about understanding that, we have equal voices on the table. It's about understanding that it's not my gender that will get me the job because you have a quota that you have to fulfill, and because I'm a woman, I get the job. No, I got the job because I'm capable. You got the job because you're capable as well, and it's powered. It's like, there is a game of brain. Let's put it this way, and that is where good things come to play, right? You have brains, I have brains. If we collide together, if we integrate, if we merge our thinking, this is when great things can happen. So empowerment, for me, it's not a requirement.
Okay.
What I want you to hear from me is like, listen to me, appreciate me, and the way I appreciate you and the way I want to listen to you, because I want to understand how you think. And that's what I want from you.
Okay. In some industries, there are way more women than men. In some industries, there are way more men than women. We know that, and whatever those industries are, they've all been talked about before.
Yeah.
There's this talk about women not being paid as much as men.
In some countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if women are paid less, then why don't companies just employ more women?
That's a good question. We can put it out there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. With me, right, because I have access to pay scale, I make sure that, you're paid based on your knowledge, your experience, the things that you can bring to the table, not because you're a woman and not because you're a man, you're getting a higher paid salary. It happened to me. And that's why, because I now am in a position that will help me be fair, just, and and practice equity, I'll do that. And I'm happy to challenge whoever wants to challenge.
Okay, but you work for Ford, so you work for a big, massive organization. A lot of people might not work for that size of company. They may work for an SME that employs 200 people or maybe even less.
Yeah.
And so that may not have filtered down into the company because maybe the HR function isn't so strong for such a small company. And people may feel they're a victim.
People on the job or people who are applying for the job, you mean?
People on the job.
Oh, yeah. So what do we do about those?
Well, I look at it and I'm like, and I find a lot of the arguments are unfounded. It's like, let's take what's going on in Palestine at the moment, okay? For all of us over here, it's horrific, okay? But in the West, it's like, needs to be done. The governments are keep pushing through this, and you've even got people that are arguing the case over there. Well, it's like, you clearly don't understand the whole picture. So if you understand the whole picture, maybe you'll think differently. And I think like that, when I make comparisons of other things, it's like, do you understand the whole picture? Or are you basing your opinion and your kind of like your campaign on one point of view?
Definitely, it's campaignish, let's put it this way. I mean, you as a human, you need to look at the situation from the heart, right? And then you use your brain. Is this a humanitarian enough? Is the offer that I'm putting on the table humanitarian for that specific person that's going to take that job, right? Is it in line with our company ethos, in line with our government ethos, in line with the world ethos or not? Not because it's a woman then I underpay, or not because there is like a mission out there and that means that it is fair and just. No, we need to look at things from a different perspective. We were talking before, I think, our podcast, a lot of people would like to follow because it's easier than to lead, right? And to lead, it means you have to have lenses on the go. It means that you have to shift them, right? You need to use your brain more. So if you're paralyzing your brain, good on you.
Okay, talk to me about examples of where leadership's gone wrong and where leaders could do better.
And it's a bit now. No. Don't unleash the beast in
me. There's many examples I'm sure that you have about where leadership's gone wrong. And I want to take examples of where it's gone wrong. And then I want to talk about tips and strategies that we can maybe give leaders that could help them be more effective. So give me some examples, one or two examples of where you've seen leadership go wrong to start with.
It's when, so let me be, shall I be political in here?
Just get it out. You don't need to be politically correct. You just need to be you. And my audience would love your authenticity rather than your politically correct answer.
Okay.
So go for the jugular.
Okay. So eventually, I mean, leadership, first of all, it's a responsibility. And I think leadership is not only at the top. Leadership is across levels. Whether you are a people leader or you are an individual contributor or if you are a head of function or you are just a newbie on the job, right? So leadership is across the board. Again, it can go wrong, right? When you follow a certain let's say, strategy or a certain flock, and you just have to go with the flow. Knowing that flow or that flock is not going to do the right thing for the business or for your team, right? And this is when leadership goes wrong. You're just a follower and you're no longer a leader, so you don't deserve that title. Number two, when leadership goes wrong is when you allow your emotions to take control over you. As leaders, we have a responsibility to understand ourselves, meaning what are our triggers, how do we behave in a tough situation or tough environment, or when stakes are high, how do we operate, how do we get blinded, does our brain get fogged or what, right? And then in an uncomfortable situation, what do you do? Do you allow your emotions to come to play or what, right? And there's a lot of leaders who are passive-aggressive on the job. And the language that they use is like, it's good that you have a job. To them, like, seriously? It's good that you're hiring me. It's good that I'm here today, by the way. Right? It's not good because you hired me. It's good I am here. It's good that I'm exhausting and investing my brains in this business, right? Because if my brains were not there, probably that aspect of the job would have been completed. It doesn't mean that another candidate can't do it. They can, but maybe not within the same caliber. So that passive-aggressive language that sometimes is adopted by few on the job, I think that has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. So again, take control, understand yourself as a human, as a leader, bring yourself to the now, educate yourself about your triggers and your hotspots, let's put it this way, right? And then take control over that. And when you take control, it means that you have managed your levels of emotional intelligence. And when you have managed your level of emotional intelligence, you are able to use your emotions in a very agile way. And when you use your emotions in an agile way, you are stretching you're moving or turning or hitting a certain level of resilience. So when your resilience is low as a leader, your emotions go down the drain, and then this is when leadership goes wrong. So not by being a follower, it's when you follow. It's when leadership goes wrong. When you allow your emotions to control you, it's when leadership goes wrong. And then, of course, when you're not empathetic and do not invest in your own learning as well, this is when leadership goes wrong.
When I look at what's happened over the course of the last probably 5, maybe 10 years, but last 5 years in particular, everyone's offended.
Offended?
Everyone's offended. Yeah. Everyone gets offended. Yeah. And they make a big deal about being offended. Yeah. He said something that offended me. Mm. Okay, so let's just take the conversation we had before we started filming with Alex, who everybody knows. we had a little bit of a laugh and a joke about the fact that he's from Leeds and I'm from London. Yeah. Okay, and the people from London think that we support the people from up north, and but again, that's centuries old. Yeah, poor Alex. Now let's say Alex then went to HR. Okay, he laughed in the room with us, but he went to HR and he said to HR, "Oh, look, Spencer really offends me. I'm very proud of Leeds. He offends me when he talks about Leeds and he jokes about it like that." Okay, does it make him right?
No.
Why?
I mean, if I am that person in HR and Alex came to me, I would say, so how did I start questioning or inquiring? Let's put it this way. So what offended you? Why were you offended? What have you done about it? Did you go ahead and speak to Spencer, for example? Did you tell him how you feel? How does this make you feel? Did you try to understand, why is Spencer saying what he's saying? Or did you see where this is stemming from? Right? So when communication also doesn't go right, or there is a barrier in that communication, this is when, things go south as well. And then we create a toxic culture and then toxic leadership. But we need to understand. So for me, if it was Alex coming to me, I would definitely encourage Alex to go to speak to Spencer, definitely. And probably if things go worse, I'll just bring them together and then try to understand what happened.
Yes,
with communication.
Alex goes to Spencer and Spencer says, "Hey, mate, look, I know that you joke about it, but it just makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I wouldn't mind if you just bear that in mind for the future. Okay. Then I go, oh, Alex, I never meant to offend you. I'm really sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. And we kind of laugh it off and shake hands and move on. Or, okay, I can go, don't be so dramatic. Yeah. For goodness sake, it was a joke. Yeah. Don't be so dramatic. And that could lead to a further communications breakdown. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. But at the end of the day, the way you explained it, it's just about communicating.
Of course.
And keep talking and keep that open line of communication rather than what actually happens is people think too much about what other people might be thinking about that situation.
Less on the thinking, more on the talking, please. Yeah. Yes. I would advocate.
You know, when you're saying it and it's like, duh, that's common sense, but it doesn't happen a lot.
No, because we're held by our emotions and our egos go high. Like he's talking about me and I don't know what, and he doesn't understand my background. All of these things, we go emotional.
My belief around leadership a lot is if you can help people understand and establish what their goals are in life,
purpose,
and you can help facilitate a way for them to get there, you become a really effective leader because you help them get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
If I have goals as a business and you work for me and I want you all to see my goal, and all to work towards my goal, you won't be anywhere near as motivated to achieve my goal as you would your own. So why should you be focused on my goal? Because our company said so,
Yeah.
Where's the excitement in that? But for me, it's like great leaders in my experience over the years were guys that said, what do you want? What really matters to you? And if I can help find a way to get you there, would that make you happy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is that an example of good leadership?
It's not dark psychology, right? See, I believe in when I work for a company, I know that there is my goal, there is my purpose, and then there's also the organizational purpose. And I do have also my leader or my leadership team. I believe when business or successful business happens, it's because there is an alignment of all of these three. It's like, when you're aligning your head, your heart, and your gut. So when one of them goes out of that track, it means that, you'd better just deviate from because your purpose now is different. It's not wrong. Your purpose now is different. So you might not fit into that. It's important to understand what is my aspiration, right?
What is your what?
Aspiration.
Aspirations, okay, yeah.
Did I say that?
I thought you said expiration. I'm like, expire.
Okay, I might get expired one day, of course. My aspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important to understand it and see how it fits into the mission and vision of what we want to achieve. So yes, you need to ask your people, what do you think about that goal or that objective or that strategy? Where do you see yourself pitching in? How does it fit your aspiration? Let me just put, we call it shadda in Arabic. Right? So yeah, you need to talk to your people and understand, what they want as well. Because if you don't understand what they want, how can you help them grow and how can you help your division grow and how can you create that synergy amongst your people? So one of the responsibilities you as a leader is to understand, I think, the people's aspiration and how does it fit into that ecosystem.
When you have an employee that their purpose in life is to be happy.
Happy. What does happiness mean?
Happy. Just be happy and be kind. That's always been the big challenge for me because trying to help someone achieve something that I can understand is easy. Trying to help someone achieve something I can't understand because it's intangible, I find is challenging.
Yeah.
So I have somebody that works with me that kindness and happiness are like the order of the day, morning, noon, and night. Kindness and happiness rule.
Okay. Yeah.
The sense of purpose is always around kindness and happiness.
How does this make you feel?
Actually, as I've got to know that verse, and it's become easier. But at first, it was difficult. I still don't think I've mastered it. And they communicate when you're really kind and you're really happy. I work so much harder. I work so much better than when you're kind of like direct and straight to the point.
Yes. Yeah.
Getting the best out of people like that as a leader of a business can be challenging.
It does. But when you practice empathy, right? I mean, as a people leader today, I look at how my team would like me to behave with them. Some are direct. Don't give me the fluff, tell me what I need to do. Some are like, can you be a little bit nice? I need more empathy on the job, right? And some others are those who I cannot give them direct messages, nor I can be very empathetic. I have to sugarcoat everything around me, right? So I need to understand, again, their background, where they're coming from, their aspirations, what are their triggers? And then I put myself at the end. Right, and that is my role here as a people leader. When I'm doing, I'm responsible for the lives of these people. Am I creating for them an experience where they are able to thrive, or they're able to give me their utmost, or not? All right. So with empathy, and then there's levels of empathy as well. All right. I practice based on each and everyone's persona, preferences, their upbringing, where they're coming from, and so on. And at some point, I tell them, this is also my leadership style. When situations are tough, don't expect me to sugarcoat. I can't. All right? So eventually, what I do basically, if there's a team that I'm working with, I try to understand who they are as a person and their leadership style and approach. And I'll do this for myself as well, so they also get to know me. Right, it's important for them to know their leader as well, because we're all into that specific project or mission that we are all working towards. So we'd better understand each other and what are their triggers and what are our strengths as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we hear leaders say, "My job is to serve you. My job is to serve my team, my employees. That's what my job is." Sorry?
Do they do serve their people?
Well, that's the thing. Is my job is to serve. But what do you make of people that say that? Is that sincere? Is that real? Or
I think it's just the buzz of servant leadership that kicked in a couple of years ago, and then people, I serve. Okay, bring me a cup of water. You're right. Yeah. So
just buzz terminology,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's really interesting from someone that does what you do. Okay, so
we're all humans and we're here to serve each other. But if you just focus, I'm here to serve, and then you operate differently, then yes, thank you for serving me.
Let's get some tips here, tips from an expert like you on how we can get leaders to communicate more effectively.
How to communicate more effectively. So I'm not a communication coach, let's put it this way. But I'm someone who believes that if you don't know yourself as a leader and what is your purpose, then you'd better do your homework first and then come to play on the leadership game. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's one. Number two, if you you're in a leadership position because you are given that token or accolade of appreciation that you are capable of, doing what does the leader need to do. And the leadership responsibility is to help others also grow on their job, do these kinds of teachbacks, help them, get motivated, inspire them, and help them find their path as well. So if you are not that kind of leader, then you'd better, step away from saying, I'm a people leader. You can be a technical leader, and that's fine also. And we need those technical leaders as well, too, in the business, right? So going back to what leadership is, it's about, are you able to create trust in your team? And we all know that the trust index today is very low. And studies have shown that trust I think there was a survey by Harvard Business Review lately that says trust at the lower level is way low than when compared to trust when people are like at the director level and above. And the trust also varies between males and females, by the way. Yeah. So if you're that kind of leader who can create a trust-based environment, the kind of leader who can create an environment based on well-being. And when I say well-being, I'm not talking about the bean bags. I'm not talking about the pool table. I'm not talking about, the balloons that you hang them on the floor. No, I'm talking about, again, helping them become more resilient, helping them thrive, and all of the things that we have spoken about. And that is what, to me, well-being-based leadership means, right? It's about giving your people freedom. It's about liberation. Are you able to give them that freedom? Are they liberal enough to do what they need to do and what they want to do and the way they want to do it without micromanaging? That is leadership for me as well.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll ask a couple of questions for you before we finish. When I think about somebody working for a company, they've gone for a job interview, they understand what the job is, they understand what the remuneration is, so they accept the job, okay? You work 5 days a week, 9 till 5 from the office, your salary is X per month, you get these benefits of whatever it may be, holidays and everything else. That employee must take responsibility for the fact that they've signed and agreed to something.
Okay.
I believe. Because if I've agreed to pay you $10,000 a month and you've got to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you get 60 holiday days a year, whatever it may be, you then don't get to argue for something different if that's what you've accepted. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Well, for me, it's like you get people that are like, no, I want to work from home 1 day a week. Yeah, but that's not what was agreed. That's not what was agreed. It was agreed you work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
It was that time, that money, that number, that agreement at that specific time. 2 days down the line, the terms and the conditions do not apply.
Yeah.
Things change, no? Then it means I need to work from home because things change.
No. There was COVID that happened 3 years ago, whatever it was, and I want to deploy the COVID rules, okay, now to my business. I join a company. 2 weeks later, you can't say I want to work 1 day from home. If you signed an agreement, that says we will assess every 6 months your salary, okay, you wait every 6 months to have the conversation about a salary increase, yeah? You have to do these KPIs to achieve X, yeah?
Am I not delivering on what you want as a business? So why are you stopping me from doing what I like, or living the way I like, so I can deliver what you
But this is the question, isn't it? So
I'm challenged.
Okay, well, I believe if you came to work for me and we agreed something, we agreed something. Now, if you want to renegotiate it and have a conversation about renegotiating that, then that's fine. We can have the conversation. Okay? Then we both have a decision to make if I'm not prepared to renegotiate. Okay? And your decision is you leave or your decision is you accept, isn't it? Why is it almost, in Dubai at the moment, it's a seller's market in real estate, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a buyer's market; it's a seller's market. Market. It seems to have gone to like it's an employee's market rather than an employer's market. And I believe that.
You think?
Well, I just believe if you go and work for a company and you've accepted the terms that you've been employed by, then you signed it, you accepted it. What do you mean? You want to argue for change or you believe it's unfair? Why did you sign the contract?
Because at that time it worked for me. Now it doesn't work for me. So we have to communicate and we have to think from a human perspective. We're not machines. We're not human doings. We're human beings.
But okay, fine. So it doesn't work for you anymore. You want to work from home and that's what you want to do. Okay, well, I'll pay you $2,000 less per month.
Why?
Oh, there you go. So this
am I not delivering more or up to the standards?
Well, I believe that everybody should work from the office because it enhances collaboration in the office. It enhances the ability for the business to grow, and that's the reason.
Well, we tested it before. It wasn't like that.
Well, we did test it before, and we believe this is how it should be. And you can take an example. Talabat, for example, have everybody working Monday to Friday. Okay, and so the CEO of Talabat said to me, my focus is to make the working environment the best environment possible because we don't negotiate on working days. It's 5 days from the office.
Okay, that's their culture. I respect it.
Yeah. So if they're the rules that you sign up to, then this is the challenge.
But culture for me is not operating in that box. You're putting your people in the box, and then you're telling them to operate with that box. Is that what you're telling me?
If that's what they've agreed to at the beginning of the journey.
Yeah. So for me, it's important that tagline that I have today, it's not a tagline that I just adopted because I work for a Fortune 500. No, it's because my horizons have opened. I mean, COVID has helped me to connect with the people outside the UAE. So now I understand systems in the US, in Australia, in Russia, China. So I know how the world outside operates, and that is what has helped me grow eventually in my role. So now coming back to where I live and where I sit and where I work, right? If I'm the head of an organization, I wouldn't put my people in a certain box and tell them come to the office, because culture for me could be in the office and it could be virtual. We have tools, we have systems, there is meta world if you want to create it. There is artificial intelligence that will help you do whatever you want. I mean, the world has evolved. If we just want to think from a mindset of just before COVID and forget what COVID has taught us, then I don't know. I mean, I understand that there are some jobs that have to be on the ground 9 to 5 every day.
So do you think it's fair that some of your staff then have the freedom to work from home where others don't have?
It's not fair. It's right.
So some have it's right that some have the freedom to work from home, but some don't have the benefit of doing that.
It's not the benefit. So let's say, if you are a delivery driver, unless, you as an organization are delivering food for me through a drone, then yes.
So I don't believe for 1 minute if you make a rule in a business, some people should benefit from that rule and other people should lose out because of that rule.
Of course. I remember I was in an office job, but because the operations come 9 to 5 or 24/7, I have to be even on a Saturday. I refused to come.
But you have that choice to refuse to work for the company or not. But
of course you have that choice always.
But at the beginning of the journey, if you signed a contract to state a certain thing, your only option is to try and renegotiate. It's not to demand, is it?
Sometimes you have to demand.
Well, you can't demand it because the company have a set of rules that they've put in place. And if the
rules are made to be broken.
Ooh, says the HR professional, rules are meant to be broken.
We put systems, we put policies in place, right? Because
to break those policies.
Of course, because the policy that was put today is not good for tomorrow. The policy that was set or created before COVID should not apply post-COVID or in COVID.
Before COVID, yes. After COVID?
It's a different world, different era, different time, different needs.
So let's say after COVID, you sign a contract to work 9 to 5 from an office. Let's say. Okay, 6 months ago, you signed a contract.
Right. No, it doesn't work for me.
You signed it and accepted it. You came to work. It's not an interview stage. You've done that. You passed that. You've got the job. Good. You've been there 6 months. And now you're like, yeah, do you know what? I can do some of these tasks from home. I don't need to be sat at my desk to do some of these tasks.
We talk about.
I go and tell my manager, look, I can do some of this from home. Yeah. Can I leave at 3 p.m. every day and do it from home? And they says, you know what? The way that our business works, no, you can't demand that. You can ask.
I can demand.
Or no, because your demand doesn't have to be met.
But the demand doesn't mean that I dictate. There's a difference.
Okay, you can request. You can't demand.
Demand, now we're playing on words. Let's put it this way.
But are we really?
We are, right? Request, ask, demand, dictate. They all fall within the same thing for me.
Okay.
Right? If I'm dictating, it's different than what I'm asking. It's your behavior on that job, again, that determines what, if you're asking.
Look, if you work for a company and the company says, these are the outcomes we need for you doing your job, okay, we care about the results. How you go about getting the result, we put in your trust, crack on, but these are the results we need. Okay, whichever way you see fit to do that within the budget constraints we have, okay, it's up to you, yeah?
Yeah.
That's freedom focused on the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Some companies don't like that. Some companies do. In my business, I don't care. If you work 4 days, you work 10 days, I don't care. The outcome is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So if you get your work done in 1 hour, then good on you.
Brilliant. Exactly.
Crack on. Go study something else or do whatever you want to do.
100%.
but other businesses don't see it that way. And I'm just one of the reasons I'm going around in circles a little bit here is that I really believe that there's this shift to employees dictating, to employers. And we saw that take place with all of these people working from home through the back end of COVID and this becoming a norm. And now they're being asked to go back to work. More and more and more. United States, this is happening an awful lot. It's like, no, you're not working from home. But a lot of these people have moved from the city or the town they were to somewhere further away because working remotely worked for them.
Yeah.
But now these companies are like, no, come back to work. This is what we expect in our business. This work from home policy doesn't work. People are less effective. They've got the TV on in the background. They're busy taking the dog for a walk or whatever it may be. They're where they should be working. Clearly, the reason to take these people back in the office is not for, shits and giggles.
Okay.
You agree?
Understand. Yes. Okay. So
do employees have to be very careful not to push it?
It's not be careful. I mean, I think now we're trying to instill fear. Be careful. Otherwise, you lose your job if you don't follow, right? So why are we instilling fear in here?
Great question.
I mean, to me, the ecosystem is like this. I fit in that moment. Brilliant. I don't fit in. Then what is my next step? Do I communicate? And communication could be dictating, asking, requesting, begging, depending on, right? Or, au revoir et merci. I leave. But by the time I leave, I'm costing the organization money because I'm just a quiet quitter on the payroll. And thank you for paying me money when I'm not delivering, or I'm delivering my basics, or I'm not going above and beyond.
Well, I guess the flip side comes down to it, doesn't it? If 1 in 4 employees are leaving companies here in the UAE, or 1 in 5 in the UAE, 20% are leaving. That's 20% recruitment fees, 20% retraining, 20% HR department getting involved in their time and effort. Systems process.
5 times the salary.
Say that again.
It's 3 to 5 times the salary. People who would say 2 times the salary, it's not.
Hold on.
Not accurate.
Okay, so let's just make this because I want this as clear as it can be.
Yeah.
Somebody leaves a company, and their salary is, let's say, $50,000 a year. Okay, how much does it cost to replace that person?
3 to 5 times the salary. Why? Because you need to get them on probation. I mean, the first 3 to 6 months is people on the job trying to learn the system, whether you are new or whether you are an expert, a senior in your role. Definitely the time between 3 to 6 months, it has its play. But 50 plus 50 plus 50, that's 150, right? So that is how much the company is losing because that person on the job is new and they're not delivering immediately. So it's 150.
That's incredible.
Yeah, on a monthly basis. Probably.
That's a massive number.
So, I mean, if I was a company leader or, a business on my own, I would definitely ask my people to work wherever they want as long as they're delivering.
Ghenwa, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a really interesting conversation and I've really enjoyed you giving me your perspective on this. It's really valuable.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you. It was a pleasure as well.